So in this video, we're going to have a look at the other types of graph we need to be able to interpret. The first is a line graph, which is ideal for showing trends and patterns over time. So when you're comparing the profit or whatever it may be to time, that is most commonly going to be a line graph. So we've got an example here where we've got the income of company A, which is represented by the blue line, and the income of company B, which is represented by the red line. And we want to estimate the difference between their incomes in 2023. So we're trying to find what this is, the difference between the two. So what we're going to do here is we're going to estimate their income. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So this would be the income of company A is 2023. So that is roughly 1,100. The income of company B in 2023 would be here. So that's roughly 600. And the term difference should be suggesting to you to do a subtraction. So if we do 1,100, take away 600, you're going to get a difference of 500. So we also need to be familiar with scalar graphs, which is another good way to show the relationship between two variables. And it doesn't necessarily have to be time. In LANTITE, because they are based on teaching, you normally find they have questions that compare a student's mark in one subject to another, and we're asked to describe the trend. This is called negative correlation or a negative trend. As one thing goes up, the other goes down. Where this one over here to the right is a positive trend. As one thing increases, so does the other. So let's have a look at a question together. So here we have a scalar graph comparing English test scores to maths test scores. And the first question says, what score did the student who achieved 40 on their English test achieve in their maths? So you need to find 40 on the axis, which represents English. Draw a line until you meet the point you're looking for. So this is the student, this is the student we're referring to. And now if we go across to the axes with the maths test score, we're looking for what this score here is, which is approximately 70%. So you'll either be given some leeway, with a little bit of leniency either side of 70, or you'll have multiple choice answers and then 70 is clearly the best one. We want to describe the overall trend. So the overall trend is as English test scores something, so does maths. Hopefully you can see that as English test scores increase, so does maths. You could say as English test scores improve, so does maths. But you just want to use a word which suggests as one thing goes up, so does the other. We also need to be familiar with dot plots, which is similar to picture graphs, but a single dot represents a piece of data. So in this scenario here, we could have asked a bunch of people how many animals do they have. And because there's 3 dots above 6, that would mean that 3 people answered that they have 6 animals. There's 5 dots above 4, so that would mean that 5 people answered they have 4 animals, so on and so forth. Let's do a question with these, and it's one of those questions where you often have to pick the true statement out of the options you're given. So a teacher is given an assessment to 25 of their students when the results are shown in this dot plot. We want to pick which of the following statements is true. So the first one says the median is 76%. So 76% is here, and it's got the most dots on it. But that doesn't mean it's the median. That means that it's the mode, because remember the mode is the most common result. So that's not true, okay? They're trying to trick you there. It's the mode that is 76%. The next one says over half the class scored above 75%. So just be careful, it's got to be above 75%. So we're not going to include these 3. So we've got these people here, they scored above 75%. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So did these 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12, but we have 25 students. So 12 over 25 is not going to be over a half. You could convert it to a percentage if you wanted to, or you could try and simplify it. So 12 over 24 would simplify to a half, and we have 12 out of 25, which is a bit less. So your choice, whether you make it a percentage, a decimal, whatever you need to do, but that's just below 50%. It is just below 50%. So actually just under half the class scored above 75%. The next one says less than a fifth of students scored below 70. So it's got to be below 70. So we're not including this one here. So this person scored below 70, that's 1. So did this person 2, 3, 4. So that is 4 out of 25. Now 4 out of 25, if we try and simplify that, that would actually become 4 out of 25. So it says less than a fifth. I would recommend that you turn 4 out of 25 into a percentage. So that would be 16 over 100, which is 16%. And 16% is less than a fifth, because a fifth would be 20% or 20 over 100. So again, it doesn't matter if you're going to use fractions to compare. It doesn't matter if you're going to use percentages to compare. That's entirely up to you. But that is true. Less than a fifth of students scored below 70%. But the last one, we better check that this is false. The range in marks is above 20%. Well, the range is our biggest, take our smallest. So this is our lowest result here, which looks about 63%. And this is our highest result, which is approaching 80. So if we did those numbers, one take away the other, that is not going to be more than 20%. So yes, that is false, and confirms that we have chosen the correct answer by choosing option C. So you saw there that even though this was to do with dot plots, I used a lot of fraction, decimal, and percentage equivalents in my brain. So if that's something you need to go back and check, that's absolutely fine. I recommend you do so because it will make this question and a lot of the others easier for you.